Paul Skenes isn't just becoming baseball's next ace. He's becoming baseball's main character. 8 innings, 10 punch outs, and the Rockies looked completely overmatched from pitch one.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, man, I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walking back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
That's right. Like always, we bring it back to the bullpen. We actually are still coming to you Monday through Friday each week, but we are coming to you 2 o'clock Eastern time, 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. So that's a little bit of time adjustment. Make sure you hit the notification button. Look, I'm Brett Chancey. He's Mike Stanton with 3 MLB seasons together on the podcast, 2 decades on the mic. We bring 19 years big league experience, local expert analysis. That is Back to the Bullpen, brought to you by the Locked On Network, the #1 sports podcasting network. We're going all around the league. And you know what? In Pittsburgh, they're singing the praises of Paul Skenes.
As they should. I mean, you're talking about arguably the best pitcher in all of baseball. He's definitely the best pitcher, that is not on the IL. I mean, you can say something about Shohei Ohtani, his sub-1 ERA. But if you look at what Paul Skenes has done this year, he had the Rockies start off the season. Other than that, he has been nothing short of spectacular, and he was that again last night against the Rockies.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. He comes in 8 innings, 2 hits, 10 strikeouts, no walks, 98 pitches. This is a guy, and of course, I mean, look, I understand it's the Rockies, so it's not exactly like he headlined or he boat raced the Dodgers, but he can boat race the Dodgers. He can boat race pretty much anybody. When Paul Skenes is attacking the zone, the scary part, Mike, is not only is he out there giving max effort, he's under control, he's pretty even keel, and I mean, he's a big body, kind of a throwback type of pitcher. That's what I see with Paul Skenes.
Well, listen, he is a freak of nature. I mean, you're talking about a guy that he looks like he's 30 years old. People need to remember he's only 23. I mean, this guy, this is his 3rd season, and he has arguably been, top 2 or 3 pitchers since day one. I mean, it's really been remarkable. He throws, his stuff is off the chart. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what he throws. It's plus stuff. It's electric stuff. It's moving all over the place. And the crazy thing is, a guy with this kind of movement, you would say, okay, well, sometimes he's going to lose command. No, he doesn't do that either. I mean, no strikeouts in 10 innings, struck out the side in order 3 times. First time a Pirates pitcher has done that. I thought this was a pretty cool stat. The only MLB pitcher to do it 4 times in a game was when Kerry Wood struck out 20 on May 6, 1998. And he actually struck out 20 Astros. So, pretty remarkable what this guy does, and it's crazy. Everyone has a game plan against him. There's just not a whole lot you can do. Oh yeah, by the way, it wasn't just 8 strong innings. He had a no-hitter through 7 innings. I mean, he was absolutely dominant. And listen, I'm not taking anything away from him. I understand the Rockies aren't necessarily the best offensive team on the planet. They're still big leaguers. They still have a bat. They're still up there letting it fly. And he ended up giving up a couple hits in the 8th inning, but that was it. This dude has been nothing short of spectacular yet again.
I mean, he's already got 56 strikeouts. He's 6-2 on the young season, a 1.98 ERA. And if you're familiar with Baseball Savant, if you're watching, obviously you can't see this if you're listening, but right on my phone, when I pull up his Baseball Savant, every one of his chart numbers is in the red, is in the 90th or 80th percentile.
Yeah.
And what's great is when you look at ERA and expected ERA, his expected ERA is 1.96. His actual ERA is 1.98. What that means is it's not like, oh, he's getting lucky. I mean, this guy is simply throwing the ball, getting it in the zone, missing bats. And I mean, a four seam, a change, a sweeper, and a sinker, and a split. He throws a curve only 2% of the time, but all those other pitches are between 14% and 36%. So what it says to me is he's using his full arsenal when he needs to.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that makes him so spectacular is you're not talking about a one-trick wonder. He's not. Now he's throwing high velocity, high 90s, maybe go even higher than that on occasion, but he commands it, and he commands all the other pitches. You know, whether it's the sweeper or the splinker, or which is a splitter, which slider, whatever, you know, to tell you the truth, he probably can throw a knuckleball if he wants to and command that. And, oh yeah, by the way, this wasn't a one trick wonder. I know he's, you know, you have a sub-2 ERA, you're pitching very well. And remember, I think he gave up like 6 runs in that first start of the season.
He did.
Yeah. And, you know, he's coming off of his last start on Thursday. He pitched in Phoenix against the Diamondbacks, and it's one of the best starts of his career, his 3-year career. He threw 8 shutout against the Arizona Diamondbacks. So, you know, this is back-to-back starts. He has been nothing short of spectacular, almost perfect. And ho-hum, just another day for Paul Skenes.
Just another day at the office for this guy. And, you know, again, that's what I love about guys like the Paul Skenes, like the bigger body pitchers, because it reminds me, and those of y'all listening, those of y'all watching, you remember, I mean, I don't know how far back our fan base goes, but from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s, just the more sturdy, the more hardy pitchers, those guys would get on the mound. I mean, from freaking Bob Nepper to the Mike Scotts to, you know, Fernando Valenzuela. I mean, all these guys weren't, you know, you didn't have your Roy Oswalts in the league yet. It was mainly like tall dudes going out there, just like these manly men. And that's just what Paul Skenes reminds me of. And this is a guy that you hope that has a successful and healthy career, because he's a guy that will challenge some of the records or some of the numbers that modern pitchers aren't supposed to get.
Well, and the thing is, in a day and age when everything is about max velocity, max spin, you know, really doesn't, you know, the location of the pitch isn't always what you're paying attention to. Well, that's not Paul Skenes. Paul Skenes, even though he's got plus stuff across the board, this dude is pitching. He's changing speeds. He's changing eye levels. He fields his position. He does kind of everything. And he's so much more advanced than his age. I mean, at 23 years old, there's a lot of guys that have great arms at 23 years old. There's not a whole lot of guys in history that has the command and the stuff and the poise on the mound that he does at 23 years old.
That's right. And, you know, a lot of these players, you hope as they get older, especially if they're on your team, you hope that they age well. And someone that's continued to age well when you go to the other side of the game, the offensive side, Kyle Schwarber is just hitting dead red tanks right now.
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting is the Phillies are 11-3 under Don Mattingly, and they're really pushing back towards relevancy. Right now, Kyle Schwarber has 17 home runs. He just hit his 5th home run in 5 straight games. And for Kyle Schwarber, this isn't just some random streak. This is who Kyle Schwarber is. He does swing and miss. He is batting .229. But those 17 home runs and that 967 OPS is a welcomed addition to any lineup.
And that's exactly what he's paid to do. He's paid to drive the ball out of the ballpark and score runs, drive in runs. And he's actually, I have to correct you a little bit. That was actually his 6th home run in 5 games.
6 home run. Okay.
Yeah, his last game, he actually hit 2. He didn't waste any time. He hit this one in the first inning. Go ahead and get that out of the way.
Thank you for correcting me on that. Yes.
Yeah. And so it's really remarkable when he's on a heater like this, when he is swinging the bat like this, you almost can't throw him a strike. Now you're going to continue, especially in the first inning, you're going to continue to challenge him. You're going to continue to try and get him out. But when you make a mistake, especially with the fastball, you just simply can't throw the ball hard enough. You can't throw the ball by him. He is seeing the ball very, very well, and it's fun to watch. I mean, it really is to see a guy swing the bat. He's got such a short, compact swing. I'm saying this as a positive thing. He's got these little T-Rex arms, so you can't really get inside on him.
No,
and he whips the bat through the line, through the zone, like somebody that's much bigger, much longer, has a lot more leverage. Dude just hits freaking bombs.
Oh, he does, and that is a part of his prowess of who he is, and. What we're going to do in the next segment is we're going to talk about another legend of the game. I want to hit on a couple things that Kyle said before we move on, because he had some really cool quotes about where his head is in the game right now, but we'll hit that on the other side of the break. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to Back to the Bullpen, part of the Locked On Network. I want to go to Kalshi. Why? Because it is that season where you can go peer-to-peer the market. You can make combos. You can predict the market. Baseball season is here, but I'm going to tell you about basketball season because we're right in the middle of playoffs. And right now, if you take a look at Cleveland versus Detroit, this is what they are trading. Cleveland right now is trading at 39%. If I put $100 on 39%, that's a $245 payout. If I put $100 on 61% trading for Detroit, that's a $157 payout. Either way, I win. I love it. It is league specific. It has NFL. It basically, you can trade anything against your peers, a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in or out of your position for a limited time. Download the Kalshi app and use the code Locked On to get $10 when you trade 10. That's KALSHI, Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 and up only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trade involves risk and it may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. And make sure you check out the Everydayer Club. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer if you want to get ad-free episodes of this show and more. And if you want to join the members-only Discord server, you can do that as well. Just go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer. Join us today.
Welcome back to the Bullpen, presented by the Locked On Network. We appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us. And we're talking Kyle Schwarber. So hitting 5 home runs, where is that in relation to the organization? This actually ties a record that has been done a few times. Actually, it's the 7th Philly to homer 5 times or at least 5 times in 5 games. Trey Turner did it in 2023. This is kind of fun to go through these names. Odubel Herrera did it in 2018. Rhys Hoskins did it in 2017. Chase Utley did it twice in 2008. Bobby Abreu in 2005. Now here you go. Mike Schmidt, 1979, and Dick Allen in 1969. So Kyle Schwarber is going to be looking to break this record tonight against the Red Sox. Now he's facing a guy that he has not had a whole lot of success against. That's Sonny Gray for the Red Sox. But hey, Sonny Gray makes a mistake, he may very well blast the ball out of the ballpark. But 6 games in a row would be a franchise record for the Phillies.
And that's a pretty illustrious list to be a part of.
There's been a lot of home runs hit by Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, they asked him, like, are you in all of this stuff? Are you appreciating this? And he said, I'll appreciate this stuff more when I'm retired drinking a beer someday. Right now, I just want to win games. And, that's the hallmark of the type of person that he is. The short moment that I got to talk to him last year before one of the Astros-Phillies games, I just super impressed with the way he engaged fans, the way he talked about the game. And he doesn't take himself too seriously. I mean, he's got a job. Go out there, win the game, and that's what he wants to do. And he's even called himself out in the team out when they haven't performed offensively speaking.
He was one of the guys that stood up and said something, when Rob Thompson was fired. And, this looks great for Don Mattingly. Like Don Mattingly really is doing something different when Rob Thompson was a great manager. And I've told you this before. I think that the bigger thing that a new voice does is, and listen, Don Mattingly is a laid back guy, a lot like Rob Thompson was. He's not doing anything really different than Rob's doing. But, Thompson lost his job because these guys were not playing very good baseball. And I think that has more to do with it than anything else. All these guys, especially these veteran guys, are looking at each other going, really? They can't fire us. So, Thompson gets fired. They pick up their game, and now all of a sudden Don Mattingly looks like a hero.
That's awesome. I love that. We want to talk about some things that John Smoltz revealed about his career with Bobby Cox. You had mentioned to me before the show that, he was his manager for 20 years.
20 years.
And so he was there with him through thick and thin, because back in 91, Smoltz was 2-11.
I remember.
Mike, and
I was there.
People wanted him sent down, moved to the bullpen. But Bobby Cox never blinked. Talk about that aspect of it from a player's perspective, how Bobby just had guys back, and when he knew, he knew.
Well, actually their relationship goes back even further than that, because Bobby Cox, as a general manager, was the one that traded for John Smoltz. John Smoltz was a Detroit Tiger. Doyle Alexander was pitching pretty well for the Atlanta Braves, and he traded Doyle Alexander to the Tigers and got John Smoltz, who was only an A-ball at the time, in return. I think that turned out pretty well for the Astros. Actually, it turned out pretty well for the Tigers also, because I think Doyle Alexander in the second half of the season actually won 10 games for a team that was going for the pennant. So kind of worked out both ways. Here's this funny story about John, and then we'll get back to Bobby. So during that run, that early 1991, when Smoltz, he was throwing the ball pretty well, but he just couldn't win a game to save his life. And, he had pitched pretty deep in a game. He got taken out of the game, and, one of us relievers, maybe he was losing the game or whatever. Maybe one of us relievers gave up a hit and scored a couple runs, but he's losing the game again. He actually goes up into the Braves clubhouse, takes off his uniform completely, hat, jersey, belt, pants, spikes, throws them all in a trash can, and was going to catch them on and was going to start a fire. But they did. I don't think they actually let him start a fire. But, little superstition there by John Smoltz that, okay, what do I need to do? Maybe we should have got a live chicken to try and change his luck. But he wasn't throwing the ball as poorly as his record said. But Bobby, that's who Bobby was, especially if you were one of his boys. He was going to stick behind you, and that's how it was. And John Smoltz, I mean, John actually said, there's probably no one that Bobby Cox had more of an influence on more than John. Heck yeah, he was his manager for 20 years. That's incredible.
Yeah. No, it is. And there's some rules here that Bobby Cox had. You had to wear
very
your hat
important
right.
rules.
You had to show. That's right. Wear your hat right. Show up on time. No music on the bus or plane without headphones.
Or the clubhouse.
Yes. There you go. I mean,
I listen. I understand these. I was part of them. Wear your hat right. That was, back in the day, you remember, especially the early 90s. This is when he made these rules. The kid, Ken Griffey Jr. would
wear his hat backwards.
Was the best player on the planet. He did it all the time, and we had a couple players that did it, and Bobby Cox, got on them right away. Brian Hunter, the first baseman, Brian Hunter, not the former Astro Brian Hunter. He used to like to wear his hat on backwards right after the game was over. He untucked his shirt before he got off the field. And, Brian wasn't doing anything. It was just kind of his style. Bobby put a stop to that right quick and in a hurry. And then the whole no music thing was start off with he didn't like loud music, just, anyways, Bobby. But music a lot of times is one of those hot button issues in a clubhouse full of type A personalities. And just by turning it off, hey, we want to listen to country today, we want to do this, hip hop, whatever it is. No, and I was in a couple clubhouses that there were confrontations about music. Really? Wow. About music? But that's what you get when you're around each other every single day for like 8 months.
Yeah, definitely. You tend to get at each other here and there.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
You know what?
So the little things turn into big things.
Oh, right. We will round this topic off, talk about, how Bobby Cox understood players too.
Yeah.
And then we will talk about the MLB and the union beginning talks. We'll do that next. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in to Back to the Bullpen. I want to tell you about our friends at Rocket Money. Look, cancel your unwanted subscriptions today. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Look, I've got Rocket Money right here on my phone. If you're listening, I'm holding up my phone. Why? Because that Rocket Money app is right there. And it helps you keep control of your finances. And I can tell you from experience that if you don't budget your money and run your account will run you. And then all of a sudden you've got subscriptions that are unwanted, that is money's flying out of your account. That's where Rocket Money comes in to give you the peace of mind, to help you plan, to help you save so that you can have more money to spend. I mean, you want to go on that trip, you want to go see your team out of town. Well, get Rocket Money. It will automatically categorize your spending. You actually see where your money's going. It'll set budgets, set alerts, let you know of upcoming bills. And man, that's so helpful. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, helps you lower those bills. Let Rocket Money help reach your financial goals faster. Join rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Go there today.
Welcome back to the Bullpen, presented by the Locked On Network, the #1 sports podcast company in the nation. We're talking about Bobby Cox. And, one of the interesting things John Smoltz talked about how there was no other player that Bobby Cox had more of an influence on than John, just simply, if no other reason, he was his boss for 20 years. The other side of this is, Bobby Cox had that job for 20 plus years. And that's really amazing. Think about, what's happened just this season with some of the best managers in the game, World Series championship managers losing jobs not even a month into the season. And for Bobby Cox to have that same job. Now, they did win 14 straight divisional titles. Outstanding resume that they put together, but still, bottom line is to have a job for that long. Obviously you're doing something right. And he's a Hall of Famer. The interesting thing is, how about this? He goes into the Hall of Fame. Bobby Cox did in 2014. You know who also went into the Hall of Fame in 2014? John Smoltz and Tom Glavine. And the next year was Greg Maddux. So they actually went into the Hall of Fame at the same time. That's pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, that is where the stars align. I had met Andrew Jones. You and I did a
great guy. We
did a little home run event in Sugarland a couple years ago. That was kind of it was more of a comedy than it was a home run derby. But Andrew Jones was there. And this was
I
first
sat
time
and talked to him quite a bit that night.
Yeah. I mean, it was great, but there was a moment, and I want to round out the Bobby Cox conversation with this, where Andrew Jones did not go full speed after a ball, and Bobby Cox pulled him off the field. He didn't yell at him. Right. He didn't make a big scene. He just said, "You're done tonight," and the whole dugout got the message for what John Smoltz said, and nobody was above the standard, and that was true leadership.
I have another story about Bobby Cox. That story just reminded me of my story. We're in St. Louis. I'm pitching. I'm doing everything I can. I'm sweating, like a horse. It's just, and I'm battling like crazy. And Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith is up at the plate, left-handed hitter, and not a great hitter. He hits a chopper to first base, and I had two outs, so this was going to be the third out. I don't remember who was playing. It might have been Sid Bream, might have been playing first base. Well, Sid comes up and gets the ball. And, I fell off hard to the third base side, but I hesitated. So with me falling off to the third base side, I had to react and get to first base. I had to do it immediately, or so anybody that had any kind of speed was going to beat me. Well, Ozzie also could fly. And I got over there. I was a little bit late because I hesitated for just a second before I broke to first base. We ended up going into extra innings, and we ended up losing. It's like 12 or 13 innings. So well into extra innings, and I'm beside myself. I'm just so mad, and I go into the clubhouse, and I think Leo Mazzoni came up and said, "Hey, Bobby wants to see you." And I walk in and sit down in his office at Busch Stadium, and I said a choice word. I said, "Bobby, I screwed up. I used a little bit saltier language than that. And I wish he would have yelled and screamed. I wish he would have thrown things." Okay. Instead, he sits across from me, big boss desk that they had in the clubhouse. And he's like, "Oh, yeah." And this lasts for like 25, 30 seconds. It feels like 30 minutes. And he looks at me, and he looks me right in the eyes, and he goes, "Mike, we can't have that." That was it. That's all he said.
Wow.
I did not sleep that night. When I say I did not, I mean literally I did not. I tossed and turned, and I was, and that was it. He knew that if he yelled and screamed at me, it would not have had the same effect that he just says, "We can't have that." And
Wow.
didn't, and that was it. That was it. Then, waited a few more minutes, and I get up and walk away. But that's how, Bobby knew people. He knew his players. He knew that if he yells and screams at me, I can take that. But him being a father figure, because you got to remember, we were all very, very young, except for a couple of the players, Charlie Leibrandt, who were, who we had Rafael Belliard playing shortstop, Terry Pendleton playing third, but most of that whole team came up through the organization. So we were all kind of the same age. We were all very young in our careers. And he knew that was going to have more effect on me than if he did some yelling and screaming and throwing.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That's great. That's why we call it back to the bullpen, because you get to go literally, you can take us back to the bullpen. But to round out this show, not to put a damper on the mood towards the end, but the current CBA expires December 1st, 2026. And so what's happening right now is putting up the scaffolding, laying the groundwork, both sides showing this is where we are staking our claim. This is where we're standing. And this is what we're going to be fighting for. And basically, they're setting up what I call the battlefield of negotiation.
So what happened today, so CBA is collective bargaining agreement. That is the agreement between the Players Association, the Players Union, and Major League Baseball, the owners. And, like you said, it's up December 1st. This meeting today or yesterday was all about basically just, I don't want to say meet and greet, but there's no formal proposals or anything like this. This was just, like you said, kind of giving a general overview of what both sides want. Now, anybody that knows anything about negotiations, these guys are a universe apart. Okay. They're all going to talk big. If anybody does get to talk, which there's not going to be very many of that. And if you do, it's all going to be anonymous sources because nobody's going to want to put their name on it.
No.
They are going to be, and everybody's going to be ready for Armageddon. Everything is, everybody's putting up a strong front. That's how negotiations work. Okay. I'm still positive. I'm trying to stay positive about this. I understand the issues. I've been through this many times in my career, negotiating CBAs and being part, I was a player in the 94 strike. And so it's a very difficult time, but people need to stay off that emotional roller coaster when you start talking about the CBA, because we are a long way even to getting proposals together.
Right.
How negotiations work. Nothing really happens until you get down close to the deadline.
If people go back to like 1994, because, it took a while to bring the game back. Well, the game was struggling back then, not like it is today. Today, it's surpassed $12 billion in revenue. Yep. The attendance is up. I mean, all the pitching changes have seemed to work. You've got young stars. You've got
rule changes. You have Shohei Ohtani. You have all these incredible things that happened. And by the way, that $12 billion, that was from 2024. We haven't gotten the numbers from 2025 yet. They have definitely gone up, because last year was a great year in Major League Baseball. So, the reason I'm positive, I want to stay positive about this, is because I understand the battle between the two, but at some point, somebody has to go, wait, hold on. You've got an industry that is booming right now, and the last thing we want to do is shoot ourselves in the foot. And I understand, Major League Baseball isn't growing as fast as some of the other sports. Well, the other sports aren't as big as Major League Baseball,
right.
Some of the other sports. So it's just one of those things. And the reason we're bringing it up is because, yes, it is news. There's really nothing new coming out of it other than they had their first meeting, and everybody's kind of digging in their heels now.
Yeah, that's right. With the remainder of the week, we've got some other things that we will definitely be talking about. There are some teams that are hot, some teams that are not, and we'll get to that in our next show. But if you
we're gonna have to touch on the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Rays are definitely.
Them boys are playing some baseball.
They are playing some baseball. You know what? We will make sure we hit that. We will lead next show with some Tampa Bay Rays talk. So if you're a Rays fan or you're a Rays rival, you want to come here next. But make sure that you check out our show. And if you want to never miss an episode, you want to check out the Everydayer Club. It's built for you. Get back to the bullpen ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel, and on audio, make your second listen Locked On MLB. So for myself, for Mike, and everybody here at Back to the Bullpen, go catch a game and play ball.
Adios.